Hey, what's up guys and gals? I'm your host Mike Pugh of the FPC Virtual Channel, and you're tuning in to an Adobe series for Adobe Dimension. Adobe Dimension is an awesome photorealistic tool. If y'all folks never ever used it, you can create from 3D and 2D graphics slash an actual photo background, and as well as lighting. You can create a really awesome high quality photorealistic effect. And what you basically are going to need is 3D models. So you can get it from the actual defaulted 3D models on Adobe Dimension, or you can get it from a third-party tool outside of Adobe Dimension. You can get it from Adobe Stock. They have a great deal of free and paid versions, and last but not least, you can create your own 3D models. So with this special series session, what I'm going to be doing is covering some really cool tools. I have one that I know that really does work great, and it's known as MakeHuman. I recently found it, recently discovered it. If y'all folks want to tune in, it's going to be crazy. This is something that I created on what is known as MakeHuman. So if y'all folks want to tune in to how to actually create this, let's get it. Alright, so we're pretty much on MakeHuman. This is the 3D model that I created, and it's pretty much looks like an Asian guy, right? Asian older man, or let's see if we can move it around. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show y'all folks how to get this created. I already started one session on MakeHuman, and that was just the introductory walkthrough. So what I want to do today is actually gear you up to the level where you can create this, and you can move it and merge it onto Adobe Dimension. So that way you can probably play around and manipulate, try to see what you can do with the actual character. Now I put this character in a different background. Let's see if I could manipulate it further just to bring in a different view. So you can change the view. I'll show you the background. I put him in this background just to get a special lighting effect. And those kind of things, all you have to do is learn the interface. Once you get into the user interface, you can apply backgrounds. You can apply, not really textures using MakeHuman, but you can apply different effects. So you can get whatever type of appeal you want to get just within the MakeHuman platform. Maybe you don't have Adobe Dimension, maybe you don't have a higher quality tool to play around with. And so as you can see, the transition of blue to pink type of background, you can use any background that you choose, but I'm gonna show y'all folks how to do that as well, more towards the tail end of this session. So basically from scratch, how does it start? Let's go and save this. That way, hold on one second, we're gonna try to save it. Let's move it to file, go to save, and save this session here. That way I don't lose this session. But pretty much we're gonna go and we're gonna scratch the session. So we're gonna start over from scratch. So let's refresh. Let's see. Actually, I don't think there's a way to start from scratch, not that I know of. So basically what you're gonna have to do is exit out and then come right back. Well, that's what I know for sure right now, unless I can find a way to do it. There's some other people that I created, characters that I created. This one is, let's see, just to give y'all folks an example of things that you could do. This guy, I called him Big Dude. He's like a cyborg. I was playing around with him, and he doesn't look as good because this was day one. Actually, this is my second day using this tool, so y'all folks, it's much more than meets the eye, and you can do some amazing stuff. This one I was playing around with, I called him LeBron. They start out naked, nude, whatever. You can put on clothes. Look how fast I can put on the clothes. You go to geometries, go to clothes, and then you can just throw some clothes on him. So now he got some clothes on. His muscles may be too big, stretching out of his clothes. You can go in and then change the muscle sizing and try to fix that. Or maybe his height is a little bit too tall. I'm not really sure why his shirt is busting out, but you have to just mess around and manipulate until you can get it to fit his clothes. He might be too big in proportion, too tall. I'm trying to bring down his height. You know, there's different things that you could do. Arm length, torso. Maybe I went too high on the torso, or width on the torso length. I don't know. I did something that wasn't right, that pretty much threw him off. But, oh here, vertically. Let's see. Scale him vertically. Bring him down a little bit. I'm not really sure. Let's change the geometry of the clothes. Go with this clothes. Maybe that'll be a better fit. Alright, that's a better fit. So some clothes may not fit the right way. Some clothes may fit. I'm gonna show y'all folks how to get the clothes as well. In this series, it's not gonna be that much. You're gonna get the clothes. You're gonna get, if you don't have the clothes, if you try to get MakeHuman as the download and you get it on your system and the clothes don't come with it, I'll show y'all folks how to do that. It's not really that hard. The modeling, I'm going to show y'all folks the modeling, the materials, some basic stuff. So let's start off from scratch. Let's exit this. Actually, let's save this guy, because I actually like the fact that he has clothes on. So we'll save that. He don't have no shoes. Let's give him some sneakers real quick before we move over to that session. And let's save that. Saved. Alright, so it saves that fast. Let's exit out. We're going to merge, like I said, some really good stuff onto Adobe Dimension. There's another tool that I didn't mention to y'all folks. It's known as Sculptress. I've been covering that tool as well alongside with Adobe Dimension as part of this Adobe Dimension series slash Sculptress slash whatever third-party tools that I find to build into Adobe Dimension. And why I'm enjoying this tool is because you can really make some amazing effects come out, photorealistic effects using Adobe Dimension, and it's more of like a brand new tool that's out here. So here goes Sculptress. This is that character, the first character starting out, and what I did is I changed his caricature, like his features of his face, just slightly drew it out a little bit more. I had to fix the hair, gave him a little haircut, because when I moved it over, the hair was overlapping the ears and overlapping the face to some degree, a great deal. And then I figured out how to smooth out that surface to get rid of it. I had to reconstruct the ears to some degree, and pretty much it's a really dope move that I did. And then the hair, you can see right there, I have a little problem with the hair. Let me get in there and try to smooth that out. So this tool is really simple to use, not really that hard, but you'll have some issues sometimes like this where you have to smooth out surfaces if you're moving things from one tool to the next tool, because it may not carry over the same identical way, the way that you want it. So this is an exceptional build that I did on MakeHuman. And if you're using Sculptress, when you first start out with Sculptress, you only get a sphere, so that's the base mesh that you get. Or you can use a ground plane, so it gives you a ground plane or a plane itself that you can create, but that's all you get. So how do you actually build a character? You don't necessarily have to go from scratch with the sphere. You can build on MakeHuman, come up with your basic shape that you want, and then that will be your base mesh to move on here. And you can also add the clothes to it and then manipulate how you see fit, the sizing of the body type and shapes and things like that. That's why I kind of like MakeHuman. I really actually love the fact that they came up with that kind of tool. So let's go back to MakeHuman. Actually, well, this is Unreal. I'm going to be going into Unreal Engine as well to try to build these characters in, and then eventually try to animate them for maybe gameplay slash making more like a short skit animated films that I want to try to, you know, come up with, which I haven't got into that yet. I haven't done animation yet dealing with these characters, but I'm going to teach myself how to do it. Hopefully I'll be able to get there, and also using help from online, using YouTube videos and stuff like that. So let's go back to MakeHuman. This is the little icon here. It's like a brownish icon. You click it, bring it up off your desktop. You might want to create a desktop shortcut for it, because it doesn't come as a desktop shortcut. At least it didn't come like that for me on my computer. Currently my computer is a little slow with this. I don't know why. It's a gaming computer. It should come up fast, but the software doesn't come up right away. So if you click it multiple times, if your computer's slow and it's not rendering it onto the screen, give it some time and then it'll come up, or else you'll have multiple sessions run up at the same time. So this is the intro screen, more like 1.1.1 version of MakeHuman. If y'all folks want to get this tool, definitely check the video's description area. If you don't want to do the search on Google and you want to click a link to get to it, you can get to it like that. I'm going to put that in the video description area so you can get there. This is the base mesh that you start out with, and sorry about that. It starts out as let's move it down. It starts out as a nude, pretty much character. What I like to do is start out with the face, because I already know from my basic sessions that I started out with how to do all the other stuff. So my first day I pretty much went really hard to try to figure out all the tooling, and that's basically everything up here, upper left corner. You get all of this up here, and I talked about that in my first session. And then I promised to those who watched that video, who are willing to go further with it, I'm going to break down all the different things here. I already broke down the files. Pretty much you save and export. You can't import anything. It's just load. Loading would be from the MakeHuman files itself that you chose to save, so that's not importing. Save is basically saving it to a subfolder. So you click here, those three tiny dots, and you create a subfolder for it, or add it to a pre-created subfolder. And then you title here what you want it to be called. Since this is a load, it automatically comes up with pre-designated file folders that you designated a certain file for. So if any of your files were already designated, then it would pretty much bring it up. The initial one would come up, or the most recent one that you used. Then we got save. Let's move to save. It will get rid of that section here. As you can see, that goes away. The load is basically what you previously worked on. So to save, you won't have anything up here. And then you'll just click these three tiny dots again, access that folder, and basically you can save through that method or directly through here if you've already been saving to that folder. Because what it's going to do is it's going to default back to that previous folder. So I have a 3D objects folder that I created, a main folder, which I put on my desktop or my PC, and then I put a subfolder. I'm using Windows PC, so this may not work for a Linux or Apple, Mac computer. I'm not sure. But definitely for Windows, this is how it works. And then this is the .mhm file type that I was talking about, that it will store as if you want to save that session. And I recommend for you to save every session, and definitely through increments, so that way if your computer crashes, you can get it back. Whatever you have problems with your computer, because doing 3D is a very high level, high skill load on your computer, on your CPU and GPU. Definitely your GPU. So if your graphics processor is not that great, it may not actually accept the communications the way you want it. So talking about that, I'm going to save this session. I'll be right back. Not from actual MakeHuman, because I haven't done anything yet, but from OBS. I'm back, and pretty much what we're going to do, not do as much as I was talking about with the export, import, the lack of import, the export option. Exporting, I'll be talking much more about this in the very next session. I don't want to talk about that now because there's a whole lot of details with that, because you have different formats, mesh formats. So I'm not that professed in most of them. I just now recently started dealing with Filmbox, and I'm more professed in the wavefront object file, which is very simple. It's a 3D object file type, which allows you to move a 3D file from one location to another location, but basically a 3D, more of a model that you chose to create. So if you created a cylinder, or you created a tube, or you created some sort of primitive shape, maybe the shape of a car that looks like a rectangle, basic rectangle, maybe a bed, a chair, a table, a human, whatever you chose to create, it can be in an object file type. That's how you can store it as, and that's how you can move from one tool to the next tool. So that's basically the full extent of that file type that I know of. The other ones I really don't know that much. UV mapping, I'm just learning about it. It looks like that comes out in a PNG file type. So in a photo type of file type, vector photo file type, I believe that's what that comes out as. I've seen that through using this tool. So that's the fullest extent that I've had in terms of knowledge base on UV mapping, but I'm going to get more in depth into the UV stuff as I go along as a 3D modeling student. I'm self-taught, teaching myself. So base meshes, what is a base mesh? A base mesh is basically this. It's a primitive shape of something, but this one is a base mesh for a human. So basically it's a template that you can build upon, and you can actually erect and create something that looks awesome in terms of some sort of physical features that you want to add to the base mesh. So say I wanted to add a gender and turn this actual model into a female or male, I can go to the scale to the right and that becomes more male-like. Then I can go to the scale to the left and it becomes more lady-like. So that's basically how that works. Or I can put it in neutral mode in the middle, and then you can't really tell if it's a male or female, pretty much. So, and then you got age, muscle, weight, height. They all work very similar, but like you've seen when I was first doing that, more of the intro to this video and walking through with the actual character or characters, the type of material you choose to put on the actual character, the way the designer, whoever graphically designed that 3D graphic in order for that clothing to fit, it may not have been done in a way where it fits every size. Just like if you go out there and you're a seamstress and you create a large body type, it may not fit a small person, it may not fit an extra large person. So you got to think of it like that. So when you're creating your type of body sizing, just keep in mind that all of the actual clothing may not fit. So you may have to downsize the weight, the muscle, the proportions, the height, whatever you can in order to get that clothing to fit effectively. So now let's say we wanted to change the muscle size. Let's scroll out. What I'm doing is I'm using my mouse wheel of my computer mouse, and I'm able to scroll out and I'm able to scroll in. This is the closest I can scroll in. I can also use my keyboard, up and down arrows and left and right arrows. That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm tapping it, or you can hold it and it goes very fast across the screen. So there's also hotkeys, shortcut hotkeys. You can find all that from the settings. So you go to settings, you go to shortcuts, and then this info box comes up. If you don't want it to come up anymore, you just click this don't show this again and then click OK. But I don't recommend that if you don't know exactly what it states, because that reference is basically going to detail to you how that actual function works. So whatever function you chose to click on the screen is going to give you a detail of how that works, and each of them have a different way that it works. So with the shortcut box, it says click on a shortcut box and press the keys of the shortcut which you would like to assign to the given action. So a good example would be, say I wanted to rotate up, I click the box, and the key to press for that in order for it to rotate up would be 8. So if I wanted it to be, instead of 8, I wanted it to be the up arrow, then I would have to click the up arrow at this moment in time to get it to move up in the screen or rotate up. So the 8 button, let's see, this combination is already in use. I just tapped it. So if you try to tap it again, it will tell you that it's already in use. So let's try to get out of this actual shortcut stuff. That's basically how the shortcuts work for every action that you see. Camera movement or action is basically the same. So let's get out of that. Looks like in order to exit you do Control Q. So that helps you to understand, you know, all of these different things. For at one point in time, I didn't know how to get out of this actual tool. So I talked about that, I believe. Like I didn't know how to exit, so I had to click the X. So now I know how to exit, Control Q, and that will exit out. So let's get out of here. Let's go back to modeling and try that 8 button. Look at that. It's rotating upwards. Pretty cool, right? Another way to rotate up or down is to use your left click mouse button and just pull the mouse wheel down. Make sure you depress it and you can pull the mouse wheel down, I believe. Or no, not that. It's the right click, sorry. So you hit the right click mouse button and you rotate downwards. or upwards, you use the mouse and scroll down or up and it rotates it. So that's pretty cool. But if you want to do it one by one click, you use the 8 key. So go back to shortcuts and check all the other ones, and there you go. So let's see, let's go for height. Let's scroll out, and actually let's put some clothes on first, because you know you want it to look somewhat decent. I'll just put this robot suit on, that way it covers up the extremities. So let's go back to modeling, and we'll go with height. So we want to apply some height to it. Give it height like that, proportional, size, body type, go like that. Whatever type of race you want to make it, African, Asian, Caucasian, or a mix, you can play with that. Let's go make them African just for shits and giggles, and then scroll them out, and as you can see, what you'll also notice is the head shape change. So let's go all the way to African Extreme, and then the rest will actually fade to the back. Let's go to Asian Extreme and see the difference in the change of the facial feature. As you can see, that's pretty cool. Really awesome change, right? And this particular character looks like a kid. Looks very young. So the way that they made the character's base mesh, basically it will look somewhat young starting out. Now let's scroll them back down towards the African, and you'll see the face change. So actually we scrolled down the Asian, my fault. So we took the Asian out a little bit, and now it looks a little bit more slightly Caucasian, slightly African, so more like a mulatto type. So let's scroll back the African, and now you're seeing more of the Caucasian. Looks like a Caucasian android. Pretty cool, right? So that's basically how that works, and it's fairly simple using the on-screen options, using your mouse. There's no actual physical design that you have to do. So this kind of reminds me of Adobe Fuse, and it actually came from the Mixamo website. The Mixamo was the first creators of that kind of a shape-shifting, molding character base mesh into your own customized characters. That's the one that I actually first ran into. I don't know if it's the very first 3D modeling tool from a base mesh like this, but for me that was the first. So let's see, so that's what we got with that. We can go in and we can mix it, like I said, and you can't put both on extreme. It won't allow you. The levers actually move and shift on their own. After you moving one, it will shift the other one back. So let's go with this. Just put an Asian, a Caucasian, actually we put a little African mix in it. So give them a dash of every kind of spice that I could. So there we go with that. That's the kind of android I'm going to be creating, playing around, starting out. And then let's go with age. Let's give them a little age, make them a little bit older, so it reshapes the skull to some degree. And we want to give them some muscle, right? Make them a little strong. So we're going to give them some muscle, and we're going to increase the gender type to fully male. Let's go in and then check the face, and what it does somewhat, let me show you the gender, what it does with the face. See, it morphs the face. That's pretty cool. And then the age, if you want to make them old, you got to go extreme. It gives a little bags, wrinkles, whatever. It looks like an older guy. And then if you want to make them like a baby, you go all the way back, and look at that. It becomes a baby pretty much. Which, I don't know that many people who want to create babies. Maybe you want to create a baby commercial or something like that. But for the most part, a lot of modeling, people are going to model a great deal of adults and teenagers or whatever. So there you go with that. Mostly adults are going to be modeled. So I like this shape, kind of young looking contour and design. And then let's go into gender. So say I wanted to change the shape of his chest. What I want to do is reduce some of this breast size since it's a female, and the firmness, that won't matter much unless you have a large breast size. That's what I noticed. You could look from the side like this. So I turn the firmness somewhat down, because what you're going to find out is there's another option that you can choose where you can actually build out material. I believe it's from materials or from geometry, and then you go to topology, and in the topology section I'll show you in the future once I get to it what you can do with that. You can raise the chest up, so I'm gonna raise it up a little bit. Let's move it closer so you can see. Move it down and then back it out a little bit. Hold on 1 second, to the right. Alright, so with the distance, you get to see how the distance works. So that's basically just moving the chest. As you can see, like this part, distance, pointedness, back that up, press volume, maybe raise the chest a little bit, reduce the nipple size obviously because it's a male. Alright, so we'll just back all that out, and then all this can be fixed if you're moving to like another modeling tool on Sculptress, maybe in other tools that you can utilize. So I'm not going to go to the rest of these, I just want to fix that part. So let's go to geometry and go to topology, and then you can choose, they have a big female muscle, I don't know why, but then we got male muscle. So like I said, remember that muscle stuff is going to affect, let's see, the bodybuilder type looks like it's just female muscle, bodybuilder type. I don't know why they have just a female, but I was playing around with this and trying to get it to work. Let's go to modeling again and then go to muscle and see what's going on with this muscle type. The clothing definitely gets affected. Let's go to higher scale weight, give them some weight and more proportion, and let's go back to topologies, and then instead of it being a female, we're gonna make it a male. Still having problems with the topology. Let's make a male generic. Still having problems. Go to regular topology, make it a male regular. Still having problems. Low poly, male. Let's go to proxy. All of them have problems, so let's go back to none. So yeah, it's gonna definitely have problems. Look at this, it's having problems with the skin there coming through. Let's change the clothing, because you're gonna have that issue. Sometimes you're gonna have an issue with some of the clothing. Let's choose for the male model, let's choose this kind of clothing and see if that works. Alright, so the only problem I'm having is this here and this here. Let's uncheck that bodysuit, and then we're having some tears under here, as you can see. And that's probably because of the height that I chose to make him. So let's go back. You're gonna have to play around with this stuff. Not materials. Let's go back to muscle. Weight. There we go. This is weight. Whoa. Height. Proportion. Wow, do I gotta make this guy skinny? I don't know. I got rid of most of it, and I had to make him somewhat skinny. that sucks, but depending on the clothes, like I said, it may not work out the way that you want it. So he's kind of skinny, got a really skinny shape. Now if you have a problem with the contours of the head looking like that, you can use smoothing right here, or smooth, and that should smooth it out, as you can see there, and that's pretty cool. It only activates one time and then deactivates, so just click it once and that's all you got to do. So that's that. Let's move in closer and let's get more into the detail of the face, because the face is, to me, the most important part. You can reshape all the rest of the body parts and really go hard after the fact of creating all the other things. You can even elongate them using Sculptress or some other third-party tool, and it won't really affect the final result too much. But the face is really the key, I think, in really scoring with your viewers, whoever you come up with in terms of character type and how you want it to look. The face really matters. So with the face, you got a great deal of details that you can play with using MakeHuman. We have over here on the category side, we have head shape, head size, forehead, eyebrows, all those details. So you can go into the nose, the eyes. What I recommend for you to do before you actually go anywhere with it, make sure you check the symmetry option up here. You got left and right, or right to left symmetry, or left to right symmetry, then you got just the symmetry. So just go with the symmetry itself, and then you'll get what you do on the left, what happened on the right. If you started symmetry after manipulating one side, it's gonna be offset. So you don't want it to be like a big eye here and a small eye here, or stretched out elongated ear here and then small ear there. You don't want that. So to avoid it, like I said, go to symmetry, click it, make sure it looks like it's highlighted in blue. Then you can go in and manipulate further how you see fit based on what category you choose. So say I wanted to manipulate the head shape, right? Maybe change the age. We can go like that, and then it will age and put some wrinkles to some degree on the face, head, right? So now it's an aged guy. We can go back in age and time and then make it young again, going all the way extreme to the left. So let me zoom out a little bit, and then just to show y'all folks the differential, and then go back to the middle and make it more like a mid-aged. Not really mid, but maybe young adult. So let's go with a fat head. We go extreme. As you can see, it will change the head shape. You can make him a very, very skinny, bony guy in terms of head, and then you can make him mid-ranged, or her, and then you can go with the bulkiness, which I like the bulkiness. Give him a little muscle in the face. You can change the actual shape. Let's go with the round shape of a face, and you'll be able to see. You can use these up here to do that faster. So this is the front view, back. That's the, I believe, the left. Oh, that's the right view, sorry. And then this is the left, and then this is the top view. So you can see certain orientations. Also, this is the bottom view, and you can go all the way out and scale out quickly using this orientation here, reset camera, and then this would be the front view, which you already did. Let's go scroll up, hit the up arrow, and see this weird oval shaped guy's head, actually round head. So you can go hard and create something really funny looking, you know what I'm saying? And that would be great for like memes and stuff like that. If you wanted to create memes as a 3D artist, go make it, go create it. You never know what you could do. This would be like a square shaped head. That guy would look really crazy. Look at that. I don't know what to call him, but you can call him whatever you want to call him, or her. And that looks really wild. So you could just keep going. Now he's looking really, really square. Holy crap. So you can create like maybe some weird commercials, weird memes or whatever. Let's go with triangle head. Now he's really getting out of control. So that looks kind of freaky. Inverted triangle. This may crash my computer because it's going a little bit too wild on distorted levels. So let's back all this out. You just back them down and it will return back to its previous stated condition. And that is pretty much it. The fat head, we can back that down. And what happened? Something else is not working for some reason. His head still looks kind of square. I'm not sure why. That's the angle of the head. Look at that. That's really crazy. Crazy. So maybe you're making an alien or something like that. You can use that to make the alien. Something's offset. I guess this part here. I don't know how to get it back to the original state that I had. That would be bad if I can't do that. But I guess manipulating all these things, something was thrown off. So the angle. Let's see. Looks like the rectangular head shape is off, or square shape. Something is off. Very bad. Oval shape. I don't know. I have no idea what I did wrong, but pretty much you're gonna have something offset if you don't do it the same way that it was meant to actually be shaped. So just try to keep that in mind, that you're gonna probably 9 times out of 10 screw yourself up in the process if you go too far. So, whoa, that's alien looking. Look at that. Really, really crazy. So, alright, let's back that out. Try to get it back to some sort of a normal shape. Alright, so say you wanted to do hair or whatever, you can go find some hair. How you would do that is go to material. The rest would be torso, arms. I don't play with the torso, I don't play with the arms and legs because it's pretty much standard what they give you. The hands and arms look pretty decent unless I choose to make a really large body and I got some clothes that would actually fit. So you don't have to worry too much about the arms and legs. So let's go to materials. Let's go to actually we got to go through modeling. Sorry about that. Or no, geometry. So geometries is how you can apply the eyes, the hair, the teeth, topology, eyebrows, eyelashes, because he looks kind of bald, right? So let's apply some hair. I'm gonna leave the eyes the same way and give him an afro. Let's give him an afro so that way that actual hair could stand out instead of the shape of the head. The head looks kind of weird. Let's go into the afro. You just gotta click it, and now he's looking kind of cool. Now he's getting somewhere to where I want him to actually look. Let's go to teeth. Make sure you apply teeth to your base mesh so that way your teeth stand out if you open the mouth. Topology, let's bypass that for a second. Let's put the eyebrows on there. That way he has some eyebrows. Let's give him some eyelashes. I haven't found a good way to use the eyelashes besides the first one here. The rest look like female eyelashes. So let's start out with the worst one. So that makes him look feminine. Obviously that one too, and even that one. So I backed it out and I'll stay with this one as a default, which could be any type of gender pretty much. And then let's go to tongue. Make sure you have a tongue as well for an opening of a mouth. And then other than that, that's pretty much it. With topology, you already seen that part, that's why I skipped it. Sometimes it's going to ruin the clothes depending. So look at that. I just went to male 1591 and that made him look like more like a cartoon character type, and that's really weird. So let's go and remove the smooth and you'll see another version of it. So some of the topology may mess up your character. This one doesn't mess it up. The 1951 does to some degree. Let's go to none and let's look at the ear shape. Ear shape looks pretty much the same for none and for male generic. So I recommend for you to go for male generic as opposed to the 1951, because look at the ear, it looks like it melts it down. So there you go with that. When you move it over to sculptures, you can fix the ear shape. It may look a lot better. I don't think there's any ear adjustments on the modeling. I didn't see any ear adjustments. Actually there are. Look, right ear and left ear. So you can go and play with that if you want. See that? But it doesn't seem like it fixes the triangles that were used to build this mesh, this base mesh. So all you can do is play around with, you know, the orientation, so to speak. You get the back, undo, so that way you can correct that offset that you've created, because it may be way offset. Like if I go and I bend it, the ear all the way back, I may not be able to get it back to the right exact position. So let's back this out so y'all folks can see that. So look at that character, pretty cool, right? So you can give him like a Dumbo kind of ear effect, and then you can change the size and scale if you wanted to scale it out. So that character kind of looks cool if I wanted to create that kind of character type. So this is just giving y'all folks an example of what you can do. Like you really can go hard with MakeHuman. So you want to change the contours of the face itself. You would have to go into nose, left nose, right, left nose, nose size, and then nose size details. That would change the contour a great deal. Go to mouth size. You would be able to change the mouth size, etc. And then the chin and jaw, you can do that as well. Prominence of the chin and jaw. See that? The width of the chin. Give him a different chin shape. Left chin. Give him a cleft chin if you wanted to. Scale the chin out. And then angular. So with that, you can see the angular proportion of the chin. Give him structure of the chin bones or whatever. And then you can pull this back and then push it out. But let's go undo. I kind of liked it the way it was. Let's do a little bit like so. So now we're really structuring the face. And then let's try this one. Let's see what this does. That pulls it in a little bit. So now he looks a lot different. Let's move that maybe to there. Now the nose is pretty hard. I didn't want to really mess with the nose too much. That's why I didn't go into it. But let's go with the mouth. The nose is very, very tough. Horizontal with the mouth. You don't want to play with the horizontal because it's going to throw it off position from the nose. As you can see, you don't want to do that unless you want to create a weird facial feature. And in order to do that, you would have to go to pose, go to expressions, and then you would have to give it a specific type of expression. So let's go to like effort. You can do that kind of thing and throw off the face, you know. And then maybe this. I don't know why the eyes closed. Or that. Fear. It won't work with the fear. Might work with this one. Fear 2 didn't work too well. This one actually does work well with the mouth adjusted to the right. So if you want to do that kind of facial change in the pose, you can do facial pose changes And this would work really well if you're using Adobe Character Animator CC 2017. I don't know if they updated it for 2018 to be that particular version, but look at that. That works with the laugh, throwing in the laugh. Pretty cool, right? So you can play around and manipulate with that kind of thing. I highly recommend for you to just play and see what you can do with your facial expressions. And again, you got to go to the pose/animate option. So let's go back to where were we at? We were in, was it material? No, it wasn't material. We were in the modeling section, and what we'll do is change the orientation back to the center, as most center we can get it. And there you go. Now you can see that's the normal. Let's go to the other direction and change it sideways. And that's why you probably have to use this move horizontal, only for that pose change. Other than that, it would look really, really weird. Let's go into move depth. Now you can see why you would do the depth change of the move there. That would definitely be for mouth pose changes and structural changes for the pose. There you go. So say I wanted to get a photo capture of this. Let's back it out. Maybe I want to use this as some sort of a photo effect, building this character in just to capture for Instagram or something like that. I can just use the print screen, or I can use this photo capture here option, grab screen, and that will take a snapshot, and then you can go over like I did here with MS Paint, or you can put it on Photoshop and then further manipulate the contours and colors or whatever. Let's go with paint, or paste I should say. So we're pasting it in, and then pretty much scale that out, trim it with the corner tips, little small tiny dots, whatever, on MS Paint, and then save it. Save as a PNG, and I'll call this Asian Man 2. I like making Asian men for some reason. Their facial features look pretty cool on this tool. So let's go to save, and I saved that feature there, and I can actually trim it if I wanted to crop it using MS Paint. Let's go back to MS Paint. I started with MS Paint, so that's why I like to play with it. Click paste, drag the screen to the left, upper left corner, adjust, and then you click anywhere else outside of the screen, and you can grab corners and then drag to crop it. There you go with that. That's a quick crop. Actually, let me do it one more time. And it looks like the top of the head is too close to the top of the screen, so let's go back and try it one more time. Sorry about that, sculptures. Sorry about that, that's the wrong tool. Adobe Dimension. And let's scroll it down a little bit. So use the the mouse wheel to scroll it up a little, if I can get it right there. So that's the perfect position that I want. And we're going to use this capture tool and then go in and paste it. And it doesn't look like I can paste it. I don't know where this capture goes. Let's hit the question mark. I'm not sure where this goes. Oh, it says it down there. MakeHuman, grab. So we got to go to that folder. So let's go to the MakeHuman folder that I have here, volume 1, probably data. No. Exports. No. Let's go back and do it one more time. Sorry about that, folks. We're gonna click it, and it's in the volume 1 grab folder. Volume 1. Is there a grab folder? Doesn't seem like there's a grab folder. / grab. Nope. I'm trying to see if I can get there a different way. I only have backgrounds. There is no grab folder. So I don't know where that went. Custom, skins, teeth, proxies, rigs. Pretty interesting. Well, either way, it should be in that folder. That folder is not existing here for some reason. Exports. Maybe I have to create a folder for it. Let's try that. New folder. Call it grab. Enter. And then try to save it. Maybe that's what I have to do. Grab slash, hold on, let's see. Slash grab, okay. Now let's try to see if it's in there. Nope, not in there. It's all good. I'm not worried about that. I can still just capture a screenshot like I did, and then let's do that again. Hit the print screen button on my keyboard and then go to MS Paint and then paste. And then basically redo that, crop, and then we got it cropped in. So I can use this as a post somewhere. Let's maximize it to 100%, and that's a pretty cool post right there that I can create. Just playing around on MakeHuman. If I want to change the background, remember I told you I was going to help y'all folks see that, figure out how to do that. Let's save as first before we do anything. Every little thing that you do can help you in your creations. Actually, leave it as Asian Man 2, and I'm gonna call this close. Just call it close, whatever, just to get a different variation for that file. And then let's go to the actual background. So in order to do backgrounds, you go to settings. Remember I said that info thing's going to come up, so you can read whatever you want to read on it. If you are fairly sure that you understand what it is, then click don't show again. That way you can get to it and then it comes up without having this option come up. So let's go to background. We're going to click background. It comes up again for every single one that you click. Might get annoying, but it works out in the end. So we're going to go to one of these. Come up with a different background effect if you want. My background effects are not that great, and I think it's because of the actual pixel size that I chose to add for these backgrounds. So if you want a better background, you want to come up with a higher resolution pixel size for that actual photo. In order to do that, you would have to do that from the actual website you got it from, and I don't recommend for you to use any website. I use pixabay.com, which is an actual public domain, and I use those background images for most of my imagery, and it helps to to use and to come up with much more effective looks. Now what you're seeing now is not the full background, you're only seeing partial, and that's because the opacity is currently at 40%. So if you want to change that, you just take the slider and slide it over, and now this is in an all white background. So if you want to show like a variation to your audience, this one brings out the light a little bit different. I'm talking about that. I'm going to show y'all folks how rendering works and how it actually can bring out a much more photorealistic effect on your actual character. So let's go in real quick to MS Paint. That's the gray background. This is the white background. We'll go in and bring that in like so. Scroll this up, and then we'll go and scroll that over. That's on 100%, by the way. I like to do it on 50% so you can change this, drop it, zoom out, or zoom in. Or you can zoom in much closer on a specific point if you want to fix something like these little tiny dots that you see in the air. See those little dots? I could fix that if I wanted to. And all this stuff is doable on Adobe Photoshop, but obviously you have to have the Adobe Photoshop Creative Cloud access, or you could use the Adobe Photoshop app on your phone. You should be able to get into the Adobe Photoshop Express either on your phone or on a website version, I believe, through the application or web-based tool. So those are other ways you can get into Adobe Photoshop, but it's not necessarily going to give you the same functionality and tools that you can get from the Adobe Creative Cloud version where you got to pay. So that's just some information. I just wanted to give y'all that real quick. We're going to call this close one, just to change another variation of the actual thing. And this is all the graphics I've been coming up with since I got into 3D modeling. I like to save so that I can create a portfolio to show folks what I come up with. So let's go to save it, and let's go from here. Now you know how to do the background. It's pretty much very simple, fairly simple. You can switch sides like that. Pretty cool, right? The only thing about that is that it gives this graphical feature. If you don't want that graphical feature, you just back out a little bit on the screen by using your mouse button, and that goes away. Another way to do that is to use these up here. It's pretty much the same thing, and you just back out of it, and bam. So I like this one, but I'm gonna do a real good close-up shot like this after I render it. So let's go to rendering options. So you go up here, go to renderer, and then if you have an advanced computer, you should be able to use the advanced render, but you don't have to. If your computer is not that great, then it's only going to give you a low quality render. The advanced and the low quality, the difference is just this option of light map SSS. So I think that has to do with somewhat producing the UV option map that you can come up with. So this is the actual render. The viewer itself, you want to switch to scene if you want to see a different look, and as you can see, that looks a lot different. And you can change over here where it says file chooser the texture. So this one looks a lot better to me than the default render, so you can use this texture. I actually came out with a much better quality character look using the older male version that I created. If you want to make this look a little bit better, what you want to do is go to materials, and then you start to change from default, and you can change to a specific skin type. And this is basically the material skin surfacing. So say I wanted an old Asian male, then it changes the skin surface. Old Caucasian, etc. I can go with a tune, and the tune doesn't look good at all. So you can play around manipulating the skin surfaces and see how that looks after rendering. I think this is how it's going to look after rendering. I'm not sure, so let's try to render again. This is how it looks before rendering. Actually, there it is. So this is how it would look after rendering, which is pretty cool. So you can go in and play around and manipulate as you see fit. See that? So let's go, where was I at? Materials, right? So you just manipulate material and then go back to rendering, and you'll see the rendered preview effect. So that's that. Let's go to young African American or African. So let's go to cold highlights, warm highlights, and that's pretty cool. I like that effect right there. I can play around and manipulate this in Photoshop and bring down the lighting on it, or I can play with the material and go with that kind of lighting and go to the renderer option and then play there, as you can see. And this could work for like a children's book cover or anything like that. So I think that's pretty cool that you can do all this, and all of this stuff is free. You don't have to pay for this particular tool, and I think that's what makes it even much more better. Let's go, because most people love free stuff, right? So there we go. I like the default version on this particular skin. So I'm just playing around with different textures and trying to see, you know, what kind of effect I can get. Which one do I like the most? We can change the eyes if we want to change the eyes. So let's go with the eye change color, and that may give you a different effect. Light blue. Light blue tends to work well with fair skin, lighter skin in terms of the eyes. That's what I noticed. So let's go to renderer. That's how you would come out with a rendered effect for a skin tone, and that's not that bad. Warm lights, I don't know if that one looks good. That doesn't look too good to me, and this doesn't look that good. Really nasty looking. This is the best look here. Let's go to materials again, and then go to skin again, and let's go all the way to, let's try this. Oh wow, so this is a female with a suit. It gives the female an actual suit. Let's take off the, let's go to modeling, geometry. Let's go to clothes and take the clothes off. Let's see how that looks for a male with the suit on. That's pretty cool. I actually like that. But it looks like a male with a female makeup. Really weird, right? Let's go to material again, and then young Caucasian male with the suit on. There we go. That works a little better. Pretty cool. Now we'll give him the suit, and we'll also apply the clothing for the android kind of character. Let's see how that works. So the only thing with the android mesh is that, see the topical part, the top surface doesn't look too good. I don't know why, but probably because of the topology that I chose to use. If I go to none, there we go. So it works like that. But the back is a little bit, we have a little problem with the back. But other than that, we have some basic surface issues. You would have to manipulate to fix it, but there you go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. I think he looks pretty dope. So there you go with that. Hopefully y'all folks like this type of tutorial. I just wanted to give y'all folks a full-fledged walkthrough and slight tutorial on how to do this face manipulation, body contouring, and creating a character from scratch using the base mesh on MakeHuman. So if y'all folks want more tutorials like this, more sessions, I'm going to be playing around and be having fun and creating many more characters for my sets that I'm trying to create, and future differing things I want to do, like playing around with, like I said, virtual set creation, short film, animated films, and possibly gaming. I'm not an actual game developer yet, but hey, you never know. I might be able to get into it, get into the coding and stuff in the future. C++, learn how to use C++ and apply it, and whatever other tools that they have out there that pertain to this actual this arena. It's a great, huge arena and a great career type of track. If you chose to get into like VR, get into game development, stuff like that, as some sort of a creator creating these kind of characters and stuff, you would actually go far, I believe, because it's a really wide open field, and it's fairly simple to create these characters. In my next session, I'm going to cover the animation side on this tool, which you can go in and you can do different poses. You can add bones to it. That way, in terms of 3D modeling, you need to have bones in order for that character to be animated in a third-party tool, another tool, maybe a gaming engine like Epic Games, Unreal Engine, or Unity if you're trying to create for Unity. Maybe you want to animate on Blender. Blender's a really cool tool. I don't know how to do the animations yet, but I've been watching tutorials and trying to store up the knowledge base before I actually get to using the tools. So I've been doing that for months now, watching video after video after video, summing up as much knowledge base as I can. So when I get to the tools, it's much more easier for me to activate. I was intimidated and somewhat discouraged many years ago trying to use Unity, trying to use Blender, and also trying to use Unreal Engine. And so that's why I do a lot of tutorial watching, so I can catch up my knowledge base and try to keep track of what's going on, and hopefully I can actually deliver a higher quality product and actually come through for maybe a team, even if I join with a team or as an individual. And other than that, I'm out of here. Love and peace to all. I'll see you next time in these types of videos in a actual series on using Adobe Dimension. And oh, I forgot at the very tail end, I'm going to give y'all folks that Adobe Dimension merge. So I'm not going to merge this character. What I'll do, I'll save this character one more time. So we're going to save it as a different version. So let's go to File. Before we leave, I did forget about that. So we're going to save it. Let's make sure we're saving it to the right place. We're doing the MakeHuman. Okay. Let's go to Save. Make sure it's in MakeHuman. And then we're going to call it Asian Man. We're going to call this Android. Whatever. Cyborg. Actually, he's no longer an Asian man, he's more Caucasian. Slash. So we'll put Caucasian 1 cyborg. Something to that effect. Get rid of the object file ending and then call it save. So there we go with that. That's just a different version because I chose to add it as a different look, put a suit on it, and change his face a little bit. So other than that, that's all I got with this particular tool. Let's go to merging it. So I'm going to go from Sculptress because it's pretty much the same thing. You're just adding an actual object file. So we're going to go export the object file that I created here on Sculptress. If you ever tried to use Sculptress, it's pretty much very similar to MakeHuman. The only difference is that the base mesh starts out with a sphere like I talked about. So you want to move the character here from MakeHuman by exporting on MakeHuman. And to do that on MakeHuman, you just go to export, make sure you're in wavefront object file, and then you can export it. And I'll show y'all that after I move it. I move that original character. So let's go to export. We exported this to the MakeHuman folder that I have, subfolder for Caucasian Man Cyborg. So that's that. Let's minimize this guy and just try to keep track of the names that you chose to create. This one I already did, Asian Man 2 Sculptress object file right there, and you just click save. So once you save it, it will become an object file. So now all I got to do is go on Adobe Dimension and go to File, Import 3D Model from the file folders, and then go to 3D Object, MakeHuman, Asian Man 2. Now when you move it, it may not be visible as soon as you get there, but this one actually stood up pretty cool. So it's visible, 100% visible. It's not relocated. If it does relocate itself and it's not visible, you're going to click View and go to Zoom to Fit All, and that will get you exactly in the proportion and position where it's at, even if it's way far out on the screen. So what we're going to do is rotate. We can use these tools here to do moves, scale. This is the move tool, the scale tool. This rotates the actual the object that you chose. This tool here is an orbit tool, so it allows you to rotate around the scene as you see fit. This is a hand tool that drags across the screen, so you can drag it. And all of this is using your left click mouse button. You can use your mouse wheel to scroll in closer so you can see the character. Look at that. So this is why I wanted this character, because it's fairly cool looking, how it's shaped, the contour, stuff like that. Now moving it from using Sculptress, I started off with MakeHuman, then I moved it on to Sculptress, changed the contours of the face to some degree, did the haircut like I said, fixed up the hat because I had some hair coming through the hat, protruding through the hat, stuff like that. Once the move was done, I did the smoothing down, all of that. Then basically all I have to do here is add some material. You don't actually get to move the materials here. So I wish they can actually make that possible. Maybe in the future they can make it possible for you to import the materials, but you can't import those materials that was previously done on MakeHuman. And actually I chose not to paint it on Sculptress because it won't move the paint over anywhere. It'll just strip everything down and bring in the object file bare bone. So what you have to do is apply your own textures to it using Adobe Dimension. So to do all that, I'll definitely be showing that much more in future videos, but I'll just go in real quick and give y'all folks an example. So make sure you're at least having this applied where it says select to move, and you select the object, and I can turn this object all black if I wanted to, but that's not going to detail every single part. You see what I'm saying? So you would have to use a specific tool to do that, and to do that I use this one here, which is, let's hover over it and let it display. It's called the Magic Wand tool. It intelligently selects smaller pieces of complex objects. So say you wanted to grab just the face, particular part of the face, it will do that. It will try to grab the hair, specific part of the hair. So say I wanted to make that cardboard color, it will do that. So there you go with that. Let's try to rotate. There's another way to rotate. You can use the right click mouse button to rotate, but it's not going to rotate the way that you want per se. It may take a lot of time. If you're close up, it will take a lot of time. So let's try to paint all of the hair parts. Go in and just paint. So, you know, these are little things that you're gonna have to do to go in and try to get the character, you know, painted. So let's add some skin tone, maybe give it a wood skin tone, I don't know. And it's just, it's coming out to some degree, just playing around with it. You might have to go a lot deeper in detail, like to do the teeth, the mouth. It may take a lot of time. So just keep that in mind. It may take a great deal of time to do all that because it's not designed actually for these little tiny things for character creation. Your 3D model characters is really not designed for it, but I learned to improvise and to actually build in what I see fit to try to move on to Adobe Dimension because I want to use it to its full capacity and potential. So that's why I do it this way. But everybody uses it to their own choice, their own usage. That's up to them. You may have a different usage for it. You may find a different way to utilize it. But this is how I utilize it, and I play around with it, and it's fun. I find it a great deal fun because there's nothing like this that I've found anywhere else. Adobe Dimension definitely stands out as a very unique tool in itself, by itself, standalone tool. But to use the third-party tools in conjunction with it actually makes it a lot more funner and challenging as well. It's very challenging to try to come up and create with Adobe Dimension because it's not like any other standard tool that's out there. So let's see, I think I got all of this teeth covered. Pretty much just going in and playing around with different parts of the teeth just to give y'all folks an example of what you would actually have to go in and do to get it all done. Let's try to rotate and see what that does. Alright, that does the teeth there. That's good. So I'm really getting closer to what I want. The mouth is black, but we don't want that. We definitely want it to be like a reddish color. So we're gonna click the mouth, try to get the tongue, try to get that to be like a reddish color. There we go. And now we're getting somewhere. So Like I said, this is giving y'all folks an idea of what you can do. I'm trying to pull off some magic using Adobe Dimension. Without using that material tool, you won't be able to do what I'm doing. So we'll keep that one there. We'll go in and try to get a little bit more on the material contours. Hit that. Get some of these creases. Alright, so it's getting most of it. Definitely getting most of it. Here we go. Alright, so I got majority of the character done up. As you can see, a lot of it is done up pretty good. The eyes, I have to go in and probably recreate the eyes because that's what I had to do with another character. It wasn't easy to do that part. This is not actually how it's going to look. You have to go over here to the render preview. And in the render preview, it will actually show you a lot more high quality detail on this particular aspect, so you'll be able to see more on what it actually will look like. The inside of the mouth, I definitely got to work on that as well, but may have to maximize the render preview port so that way it goes in. And I like to move the mouse side by side sometimes just to get that to work. Sometimes it doesn't come out right away, so you may have to play around and manipulate. Let's see, let's go in here. Something's not working right. Looks like it's freezing. Having some issues. Go to view, zoom to all. Okay. Yeah, it's having some issues because I was so close, I guess. Scroll in. Look at that. This is the render preview. It's really gonna look dope once I get the character done up and finished and complete. And I'm telling you, you can't do this anywhere else with any other tools that I know of. But this is pretty mind-blowing. The concepts, the realism, what you can actually do with your characters using Adobe Dimension. So that's why I like MakeHuman. That's why I like using Sculptress. I haven't been able to pull this off with anything else that's out there. So I'm not finished with all the detailing, but you would have to go in much more and play around with the details. And this character is going to look really outrageous. I already know, I can see it's going to be really crazy. Look at that detail, man, that's coming out. Pretty dope. It's mind-blowing, actually. I can't believe that I was able to pull that off using some free tools. And this character looks like a cartoon that's been turned into a real 3D model, real life looking 3D model. Almost like it's becoming more like a statue or clay type of, not even clay, maybe like a special composite shape texture material in real life. Man, this is really amazing. So you just keep playing around. You can move your mouse super fast side to side. That will reduce a lot of the pixel scatter. I gotta fix the haircut to some degree. You see all this color offset color, so I gotta fix the haircut a little bit and maybe bring out more color here. And then material surface on this part, definitely fix those. The ears do not look that good in its transition over, but I'm not worried about that because I know I could fix the shape of the ears. And man, this is just mind-blowing how awesome it looks. I don't know if anybody has created this kind of a high scale photorealistic quality using Adobe Dimension, but I'm blown away. The reason why it actually looks this good to me is because I moved it from MakeHuman to Sculptress, and Sculptress actually took it and smoothed it out a lot more. My first iteration that I moved over to Adobe Dimension didn't look this good. Crazy. This guy's gonna look really good too. So let's bring it over. Let's see. Hold on. I just want to bring an older version. Let's see. Open it. That way y'all can see the difference. One of my older versions from my day one that I created. Where's the guy at? Here he is. So this was my first, actually my very first iteration. Let's see, I think it's this one. It did not look anywhere as close as good. Let's go to open, go to paint. And this was the very first render that I was working on, render preview. So as you can see, I didn't have good eyes. I had to rebuild the eyes using Adobe Dimension. So in order to do all that, you can do it on Adobe Dimension with the primitive sphere shapes that you have, and using the move tools you can move it into position. It takes a little time to learn the tools, but I have tutorials on that as well. You can click in the upper right corner, the tiny eye, and that will get you to that if you want to use those as references to help you. And then this was one of the iterations. Let's move, open up paint, and this was one that I played around with because the material surface, as you can see, is a little scattered, a little dented, not dented but bumpy. So I really didn't like the shape and contour, so I thought to myself, maybe if I would have moved it initially to Sculptress prior to moving it from MakeHuman to Adobe Dimension, and I moved it to Sculptress, I could smooth out the surface and then move it over to Adobe Dimension and come up with a better look, and it would have come out a lot better. But I neglected to do that because I had no idea that it would come out looking like this. I just wanted to get it on Adobe Dimension. So that's that, using a different material for the eyes. And then let's see, this one, this might be one where I did the eyes up and I actually, no, that's another one, same kind of look. I think this is the one here. Let's open this. Nope, that's not it. Which one was, here it is right here. So this is one of the first ones I did where I actually rebuilt the eyes, and obviously you see the scatter, so that's all of the pixels still trying to reconfigure itself using the render preview on Adobe Dimension. Let's go to Adobe Dimension and we'll just make this move a little bit more just by moving side to side. You can also use the render itself, the render tool. That will go into deep rendering. And the reason why I don't use that much is because it might take hours for you to render, depending on the type of material you chose to use. It may take a half an hour, it may take 15 minutes, I don't know, but I don't want to wait that much time while I'm doing my different developments. I want to speed up the process, so I do this and go side to side and side to side as much as I could to see if I can get rid of as much scatter as possible using my mouse going fast. And I learned that from manipulating some other graphic tool that wasn't producing the high quality results I wanted. Now, if you move the mouse fast, it tends to compute more computations for some reason. So I just wanted to add this to the tail end of this video because, like I said, man, this is amazing what you can do. This is pretty amazing effects, pretty dope effects, and it may actually look more real as I go along. And that's the power of using this Adobe Dimension tool, and then having third parties to move it on to the photo rendering engine that they have, photorealistic rendering engine. You can't actually use this to recreate 3D models, so it won't export as a 3D model anywhere. It just exports as a PNG type file, graphic vector type file, or you can use it to render as a Photoshop file type. So keep that in mind before you go into it and you get frustrated and wonder why you can't merge this to another 3D modeling tool. That's not what it's for. It doesn't create object files. It just accepts an imported object file type, and then bam, you can go and do all that. So far, my knowledge base and my experience on using 3D modeling, 3D design, and all that stuff is very, very limited to 2 weeks. Prior to that, like I said, I was discouraged a great deal, and I tried to get into animation using Adobe Character Animator CC 2017. This was back in December. Actually, November is when I first started. I learned it for about a month, and the tool that I used, Adobe Fuse, was to create an actual character like this, but the character did not come out this good looking. No way in how did it come out this amazing. I'm just, yo, this is blowing me apart. I have to make a separate video for this so people around the planet can get to see what you can do. It is freaking crazy. Adobe Dimension is amazing. All of the free tools that I'm using is amazing. Sculptress and MakeHuman in combination. If you don't use them in combination, I don't think you're going to do this kind of amazing effect. And look at it, it's starting to render a little bit better. You can see a lot of the pixels starting to come together up here on the forehead, and you can just use it, leave the mouse here sitting, and it will take a longer time obviously, but I don't think it's going to take as long as the render option does. And you just let it keep baking itself. It's baking in all the pixels that it can, and eventually you will blow yourself away and other people away with the kind of things that you can create using it. That's why I'm just, yo, I'm gonna keep going. Seriously, yo, I'm gonna keep going with this tool, or these tools, man. I mean, I never did anything like this, and it's just, yo, it's nuts. So I'm out. Sorry about that. I had to cough because of this experience. I need some water. Feel free to hit the thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel to get more from what I have to offer with this stuff. I have done pretty much zero artistic design, drawing, stuff like that. It's all about understanding the tools, the basic tools, moving files back and forth, knowing the menus, resizing, reshaping. Very simple stuff. Mind-blowing results. Seriously. That's all I got. Peace.